So, back for week 3 of the High Roller Draft League Season 4. I'm going up against Laskeese this week. You can see their team on the screen. It is a very, very scary team for what I have drafted. There are definitely some big threats on the team, like that Naganadel is going to actually be quite a big issue, I think, because a lot of the Pokemon I would want to bring against a Rain Mode and a Regieleki just are going to lose to the Naganadel, like the Tapu Bulu. So it's forced some Pokemon that I probably wouldn't have brought otherwise, like Diggersby is coming to this match, even though it's not so great against the Rain. It's good against the Regieleki and the Naganadel, and not very good against everything else, but it seems necessary. I'm trying to avoid losing immediately on the lead, because in practice that happens sometimes. If I led something and I didn't counter Rain, then they just immediately swept me. If I led something to try and counter Rain and they led Naganadel, then I just immediately lost. So I'm going for something that is maybe not the best against everything, but is going to be not an auto loss on the lead. That's the plan. So Avalugg is going to be my main Glastrier counter going into this match, because it can just Iron Defense in front of it. It's slower than it, so if they get into Trick Room, then I'll be able to Iron Defense before they attack. If I get an Iron Defense, it can shrug off Steel Spikes. It'll only do like 40% damage, so I should be able to 1v1 the Glastrier pretty easily with the Avalugg, especially if they're running Heavy Slam as well. If I can stall out Dynamax and then they switch to Steel Spikes, the Heavy Slam is 40 base power against Avalugg, because they are both very heavy. They could be running Smart Strike instead, but that's still only 70 power, so if I can just stall out the Dynamax to the Glastrier and I'm trying to 1v1 it, the Avalugg should come out on top in that regard. It's got enough attack investment so that it can OHKO the Naganadel with 3 spears from the Icicle Spear, and then the rest is just dumped into special defense because it's so low, optimizing just to increase the special defense, because it could be taking on some special attackers there. Don't feel the need too much for any defense, because the defense is so sky high anyway, and I'm going to be, hopefully, clicking Iron Defense, so I should be fine in that regard. But yeah, nice and slow, min speed, so I can underspeed everything except for the Fungus. That's why I've got the safety goggles on the Avalugg, because if this is going to be a Trick Room counter, then I need to be able to take on the Fungus as well. And with the safety goggles, I'll just be able to Icicle Spear the Fungus, just completely ignore it. As well, I could just go for the Body Presses and into not the Fungus, and Avalugg should be able to deal with Trick Room pretty handily. So that's probably going to be in the back in case there is a Trick Room mode. If they don't bring Dustoir or the Bronzong, then I may not be bringing the Avalugg, and I'll bring Volcarona as the Glastrier counter instead, but I'm planning on leading with Azelf. So how well the Gengar went last week, given that it wasn't part of any of my practice and it was just put in afterwards and not practiced with at all. I'm hoping to do the same logic with this Azelf here, because I didn't practice with Azelf at all, and then realised that this is actually the Pokemon that will allow me not to immediately lose on the lead, because it can do well against most things. Like, it won't auto-lose to anything, really, here, especially with the Assault Vest. It can take on the Regieleki if it goes for Max Lightnings, it can take on the Naganadel very easily, and respond back with a Max Mindstorm. That's what the special attack investment is there for, to be able to OHKO a Max Naganadel with the Max Mindstorm. It's able to outspeed the Regieleki and the Seismitoad in the rain if I get a scary face-off with my Grimmsnarl, spoilers for later on. But yeah, that's all the speed that is necessary, because they have 2 very fast Pokemon and Azelf can't outspeed them, and then the rest are reasonably slow, so there's not much need for any other speed investment. I can put a lot into bulk, and then with the Assault Vest it should actually be able to be pretty tanky, because I'm most likely Dynamaxing the Azelf. I could be Dynamaxing the Grimmsnarl as my plan, because those 2 are the main leads. Main Pokemon to be led is the plan, if that sentence made sense at all. But yeah, Azelf could be very nice here. Max Mindstorm will deal with the Naganadel. If I deal with the Naganadel, then Bulu could win on its own, even against the Glastrier. So just take care of Naganadel and Bulu is hopefully going to win, is the plan. Azelf will enable that if the Naganadel is led with. I can take on the Rain modes pretty well with the Energy Ball as well. I can Scary Face the Seismitoad and Max Overgrowth, and that's a KO on even Max Seismitoad as well. So yeah, this Azelf is going to hopefully be the key member, even though I haven't practiced with it at all, purely based on theory. It's got coverage to be able to hit everything, so yeah, hopefully Azelf is going to put in the work. Diggersby is here because it kind of needs to be. The Naganadel is a big issue for my team, so Diggersby is here just with the Choice Scarf to be able to outspeed that Naganadel. That is literally it, because like I said, if I take care of Naganadel, Bulu can just win on its own. So that is the plan. Get rid of the Naganadel. If that's having to use the Scarf Diggersby to be able to take care of it, then so be it. So, not planning to bring the Diggersby to the match. It's also mainly here as team preview baits to scare off the Regieleki somewhat, because they may not want to bring the Regieleki if I have brought my Diggersby, but that may not put them off because they've got the Rain mode that is going to bop this Diggersby. With 4 water types as well, Diggersby is not that great into this matchup, but it seems necessary just to maybe scare off the Regieleki and hopefully scare off the Naganadel as well. and just deal with the Naganadel if it does come to the match. So probably not going to be bringing the Diggersby, but it's here just in case. Grimmsnarl is going to be led with the Azelf almost certainly, and it is a very offensive Grimmsnarl in this case, because initially the plan before thinking about the Assault Vest on the Azelf was to Dynamax the Grimmsnarl. It had Power Whip as well to be able to deal with the water types, but now that we've shifted to Grimmsnarl and Azelf as the lead, don't need Power Whip as much because I can go for Max Overgrowth with the Azelf instead. So I've got double Dark here. Darkest Lariat is so I can get past any Iron Defense Body Press shenanigans from their own Bronzong, and then Sucker Punch is going to be able to hit the Regieleki and the Naganadel pretty hard because they are both pretty frail and do a very, very nice chunk of damage to them, and put them in range of whatever the Azelf would want to go for as well. If it's the Max Regieleki, then a combination of Sucker Punch and Max Mindstorm has a chance to KO the Regieleki depending on bulk. They should have bulk because they don't need any speed. That's one of the nice things about Regieleki in draft formats. You can absolutely bulk it out. So I wouldn't expect it to be able to outspeed the Regieleki, Oko the Regieleki with the combination of Sucker Punch and Max Mindstorm, but it could do. Otherwise, I'll just go for Scary Face, but it's lower than the Azelf, and then two-shot it with Mindstorm. But yeah, the Grimmsnarl is very offensive here with the Life Orb as well. If I do Dynamax it, then it has the potential to Oko the Umbreon with a Max Starfall thanks to the Life Orb. I put a tiny bit of speed investment on the Grimmsnarl so that I can hopefully creep that Umbreon before it goes for any Yawns or Snarls or whatever, and just be able to get some huge damage. If I do Dynamax, then I can just Oko it. If not, Spirit Break and a Dazzling Gleam should hopefully be able to still KO the Umbreon. You'll see how much bulk they have if that's able to do it. And then Scary Face is to enable the Azelf to be able to beat the Regieleki, the Naganadel, and the Seismitoad as well. I can also Scary Face myself in Trick Room so that I can put myself slower. Maybe not than the Glastria, but some of the Pokemon like the Milotic or the Politoad I can Scary Face myself slower than. If there's a Politoad Perish Song endgame, then I can Scary Face myself slower than the Politoad, and then be able to win the Perish Song war that way. So a couple of nice things that the Scary Face can do, and it's used over Thunder Wave because you can't hit Regieleki or a Seismitoad with the Thunder Wave, so Scary Face is going to be able to hit those. Tapu Bulu is going to be one of the main win conditions in this match, like I said. If Naganadel disappears, then Bulu can just win, especially if I've got some bulk ups going before the Glastria hits the field. So I can just go for a sub in front of most things. I do need to be careful of some poison moves coming out from the Seismitoad potentially. It's got access to Sludge Bomb and Poison Jab, so I do need to be wary of that Seismitoad because Horn Leech would absolutely bop it, but so would the poison moves coming into the Bulu. So I do need to be careful in that regard, but if I've got a substitute up before the Seismitoad hits the field, it won't be able to deal with me with the poison move, and I'll be able to respond back with a KO on Dynamax Seismitoad with a Horn Leech, so that'd be really nice. And bulk up is so that it can be the win condition against the Pokemon once the Naganadel has disappeared. And Leech Seed as well helps to enable that, because if I bulked up, then I can just spam Leech Seeds, spam the substitutes. If I go up against the Glastria and I've already got a substitute up, I can go for substitutes initially before it hits the field, then I can go for Leech Seed into the Glastria. It can go for a Hailstorm, sure, but then I can just sub Leech, like I've already Leech Seeded it, I can just sub, and then eventually be able to beat the Glastria that way. So if they get out of position and I can get a substitute up with Bulu, then I should be having a good time. The final Pokemon is the Volcarona. This is probably coming to the match if there is no Bronzong or Dusknoir, because then I would need another Pokemon to be able to deal with the Glastria. But it is a little bit scared of the rain mode, so that's why it's got the Focus Sash. The Focus Sash was free. I was thinking about things like Pasho Berry and all that kind of stuff, but then the Focus Sash was free, so it's just why not kind of thing. It's got enough special attack investment so that it can Oko a Glastria, just a regular Glastria, with a Max Flare if I do end up having to go for that. And then enough speed again to outspeed the Seismitoad and the Regieleki if I've Scary Faced them. And the Azelf outspeeds the Volcarona by 1 so that I can go for a Max Flare, because I'm more likely Dynamaxing the Azelf. I can go for a Max Flare with off the Flamethrower into a sun boosted Heat Wave with the Volcarona. Instead, I've just got the standard support for Strugglebug. Will-O-Wisp is going to be the standard damage reduction, Rage Powder for redirection. So yeah, that's going to be the team for this match. Most likely, I'm bringing Grimmsnarl and Azelf with Bulu and Avalugg or Volcarona in the back. We will see on team preview how that goes, but yeah, if Tapu Bulu is freed up, if the Naganadel disappears, then Tapu Bulu could just win. If I have to 1v1 the Glastria, Avalugg could absolutely win. So I'm hoping that Azelf puts in the work though, because I haven't practiced at all. The theory seems to check out, so we'll see if it actually checks out in the game.